Okay, welcome back, and I am here for my card review on Mage. So, Mage has a big thing, this expansion, and that is spell damage. Spell damage is not really all that good. There's like the only good spell damage cards are going to be Azure Drake, which is more of a card that's more important because of its Discover, and the Mage legendary Solarian, which is more valuable because of the Solarian Prime it shuffles into your deck. So here's the point. Spell damage minions are not that good. Discovering a spell damage minion, the pool is small enough to kind of justify it, but really spell damage minions are not that good. They've got the big payoff is a card, Raz Frost Whisper, which you can't reliably discover out of anything. And also Cram Session, which it's going to go off sometimes, but it's not really a card to build your deck around. So the spell damage aspect, probably not that great. The spell burst aspect, that's where Mage is going to shine, because they have a bunch of cheap spells. All those spell burst cards, all the neutral spell burst cards become a lot better in Mage, and Mage has a couple really powerful spell burst cards when they go off. So and the other thing in Mage's favor is that in the control meta, I would say Mage is probably one of the better classes to play. All right. Anyways, going over cards here. First one, we start off. Firebrand. Okay, so 3 mana, 3/4. That's good. Spell Burst. Deal 4 damage randomly split across all enemy minions. If you're using a spell, you're probably using a spell to hit a minion to begin with. So this is a 3 mana, 3/4 that can probably clear the board on curve. Yeah, that's really good. That's an easy 4-star card with the combo. That, not much needs to be said. Primordial Studies. So, as I mentioned, I think I mentioned in the Hunter video, the discover a card. That's usually about anywhere between a 60 and a 70. And your next one costs 1 less, would probably move a lot of those cards into the 70s or 80s. Except for Primordial Studies, remember, you're discovering a spell damage minion. So Mage has a couple good spell damage minions that are more valuable for their secondary effects than the spell damage. So this card, I'm not really sold on it. I think it's just a 3-star card. I could be wrong, and you could just reliably get all the OP spell damage stuff. But I think it's a 3-star card that you're going to take just because it's better than a lot of other cards, but it's not really something you're happy to take. Not happy to take, but it's not something you're excited to take. Lab Partner, for example. 1 mana, 1/3, spell damage +1. So, because Mage has the ping, the 1 mana, 1/3 is a lot better, but the spell damage makes it useful in certain situations. But really, it's a 3-star card. It's just it's an above average card. It's fine. You'll like it, but it's not really all that great. Wand Thief. 1 mana, 1/2 combo, discover a Mage spell. So it's not a 1-drop. I would probably rather take I'm trying to think if I would take this over Babbling Book. Babbling Book, a lot of its value is that it comes out on turn 1 and it can block a lot of 2-drops with the Mage ping. So Wand Thief, you play it later in the game, but discovering a Mage spell is obviously really, really insane. So this is a pretty easy 4-star card here. I think good card, but it's not great. I think it's Babbling Book levels, maybe a little bit better for the mid to late game aspect, but I think it's only a solid card for now. Rares. Trick Totem. Okay, I know what the stats say. This is a 0-star card for me, and I'll explain. Number 1, a lot of the things that it's going to cast, even if it casts and it's beneficial to you, do not really make it an average card. A 2 mana 0/3 that generates a random spell is still not an average card. Remember, you're still playing a 2 mana 0/3 that does nothing on the board. None of the 3 mana spells are really going to bail your ass out. That's number 2. Number 3, it is going to screw you over. That's the eventuality of it. So let's say it sticks on the board for 3 or 4 turns. Eventually, one of those turns, it's just going to kill something that you have on the board. And it has a chance it just kills itself. So in Arena, you don't want a 50-50 chance. You don't want a 60-40 chance. You want an 80-20 chance at best with like one of these cards, or you want a chance where the high end is so much that it makes up for the times where you lose the game. And I think like this card has like a 20% lose the game instantly effect. Then like that other 80%, that's not win the game. That's just like get an average effect. And to me, that's horrible. I know what the stats say. To me, it's a 0-star card. It's a never pick. Cram Session. You will get spell damage. So sometimes this is going to be a 2-mana Arcane Intellect. Sometimes if you have like an Azure Explorer, it'll be a 2-mana Nourish. I mean, that's not bad, but that's not consistent enough. So for me, 2-star card. Take it if you manage to have enough spell damage stuff. Worm Weaver, 5 mana 3/6. That's bad on its own. Spell Burst, some 1/3 mana worms. That's really good. Problem is, this is a card that requires Spell Burst to be effective. A lot of the other Spell Burst cards, like they're fine on their own, and then the Spell Burst is just a bonus. But here, if you don't have the Spell Burst, this is not going to be worth it. And if you do, you can hopefully chain stuff and get giant mana worms, and then that's really, really strong. So I think 3-star card. I think it's a little bit too situational. It's not a 5-drop. It's like a 7 or an 8 or a 9 drop where you try to create something. And at that point, it's good, but I'm not going to say great or anything like that. Brain Freeze. Freeze a minion, combo, also deal 3 damage to it. I like this card. Like 1 mana freeze a minion, I think that's fine. I think that's pickable. It's not great. 1 mana, deal 3 damage to a minion. In the early game, like I would say Smite is better. In the late game, because of the freeze, like the ability to have both of those on one card is really strong. And there's also the Spell Burst synergy. You play, like, for example, you play 6 mana. You play Worm Weaver, and then you combo it into the Brain Freeze. You freeze something, you deal 3 damage to it, and you summon a bunch of mana worms. So that can be a really powerful combo. So ultimately, this is a low 4-star card for just because of the usefulness of the effect. Epics. Potion of Illusion. Add 1/1 copies of minions to your hand. They cost 1. This is a worse Echo of Medivh, and Echo of Medivh did not work in Arena. This is a 1-star card. Don't pick it. Combustion. Deal 4 damage to a minion. Any excess damage damages both neighbors. This is kind of like a mini version of Rolling Fireball or Meteor. Like a mini Meteor. That'd be the best way to describe it. Mini Meteor. As good as Meteor, not even close. But like this is obviously like spell damage. You get this high up, so it can be like a kind of like quasi AoE or quasi Cone Cold or Swipe or anything like that. So to me, this is high 4-star card, bordering 5 stars. I think, like, yeah, it's just like a really, really, really good card. I don't think it's strong enough on its own to be 5 stars, but it is really good. Oh, by the way, here, Sally is friends with 3 Silverhammer recruits, conveniently standing in a line. After casting this spell, how many friends does she have? Show your work. She has no friends. Devolving Missiles. Shoot 3 random missiles at enemy minions and transform them into ones that cost 1 less. I assume if you've got one thing on the board that it will hit that one thing 3 times. And here, most intramural spell dueling contests end with a field of wisps. So anyway, transform effects are really good. You like them. 1 mana, transform 3 things down. That's like kind of like 1 mana -3/-3. That's really good. So, and there's the quasi silence effect. So this to me, easy 4-star card. Like, it's not a removal, but as Mage, if you do get a wisp, you do have the hero power for like that final bit of removal. All right. Legendary. Jandis Barov. So 5 mana, 2/1, Battlecry, summon 2 random 5-cost minions. Secretly pick one that dies and takes damage. 5-cost minions on average are not that great of stats, but you're still, like, if you get a 4/4, you're getting a 4/4, a 2/1, and then maybe a Magma Rager. So you're still getting like 8 mana worth of stats on average for 5 mana, and that's always going to be really good. To me, easy This one, it's an easy 4-star card. It's something you always want to take. See, here, Raz Frost Whisper. At the end of your turn, deal 1 damage to all minions, improved by spell damage. So, Despicable Dreadlord was like a 115 for a 4/5, deal 1 damage to all minions. Number 1, this is all enemies. Number 2, this is a 3/6, which is better than a 4/5. Number 3, this gets improved by spell damage. Like, not much I need to say. It's an easy 6-star card. Like, I would not be shocked if this got nerfed in Constructed, just because of how powerful it is. Mozaki, Master Duelist. Okay, after you cast a spell, gain spell damage +1. So, thing with this is it's after you cast the spell. So your first spell does not gain that spell damage. So, that's kind of like the problem with this. You need it to stick. And 5 mana 3/8, that's fine. But you need it to stick for its effect to go off. And after its effect goes off, you need it to live long enough for, you need to have things for spell damage to hit. So, ultimately, I'm not really sold on the card. I think it's going to be a 3-star card. I think that's about what a 5 mana 3/8 would be. I don't think spell damage is going to matter all that much. So, Mage, some solid cards. I think they got a good set. I think the meta is going to be the key thing for Mage. I think that's what's really going to put Mage, make Mage a good class in Scholomance. All right. Next class is going to be Paladin. So I will see you guys there with Paladin.